if somebody can't make something make sense with you, they can't explain it to you, there's a sudden or gradual shift in their behavior where they don't really know how to explain it themselves, then they can't explain it to themselves either. And therefore, they can't complete it within themselves. And so they look like they have got over you, but in fact, they can't, because avoidants tend to have loads of unfinished business with people and with themselves. And that is very often why they come back, because they're trying to complete something within themselves. So in this video, we're going to dive into this and make that make sense, at least from your perspective, so that you're not waiting and wondering and trying to understand them anymore, because you do understand them really. Don't tell me you haven't watched loads of videos on avoidance already, because I know you have. And the understanding only gets you so far. But I want this video to give you a bit of peace and something to do next, because we can focus on them all day and we can think about why they are the way that they are. And then that leaves you powerless, doesn't it? Because it's kind of over to the gods about if they're going to go to therapy, if they're going to do the work on themselves. And it's sad because you think, oh my God, they're doing this thing and they don't realize they're doing it. Should I tell them? Should I try to explain? Should I try to be safer for them? Should I have responded differently? And it puts it all back, all the emotional responsibility back on you again. But from a really powerless place. Because if they've gone and they look like they're moving on and they look fine, what can you do right now that really is going to help this situation? There is something that you can do, and we're going to talk about that in this video. Okay, so before I get into this, I want to let you know that I've got 5 spaces left on the self-abandonment trap. And this is perfect for the situation where someone's gone, they look like they're moving on, and you are feeling weak in this connection. You are feeling like you've lost control. You're not feeling like the incredible, amazing person that you felt like at the beginning of the connection, because they forced you to abandon yourself. They forced you, by pulling away, for you to energetically or emotionally chase. This is what avoidant and anxious dynamics do. They force one person into self-abandoning more. But the thing is that's interesting, that I should also say, is that avoidants also self-abandon. And the reason why they do this is when they betray you, they betray themselves, right? Because they don't know how to adequately explain things to themselves, and therefore they can't communicate it. And so they behave inauthentically to themselves, and therefore they show up in a way that doesn't make sense to them and then doesn't make sense to you. So both people end up self-abandoning because the avoidant often doesn't have a connection to themselves. Like I've said, all problems in relationships come down to losing a connection to yourself, right? But the amazing thing is that when you have a connection to yourself, you create a spiral snowball effect on those around you. You help others be more authentic with themselves. You lead the way. You are the light that leads the way. And this is the power of freeing yourself from the self-abandonment trap. And it's what I want to teach you and help you to achieve in my 6-week program, not through thinking and analyzing, but actually through community and creativity. This is a new way of doing it because it actually activates the other side of your brain. When you've been using your thinking, analyzing side of your brain for so long, trying to obsess about somebody and figure them out, you're up in your head. And in order for you to feel complete and whole within yourself, we have to actually become and be different. And this is why community and creativity are so powerful, because they help you to do that. And this is how we can get our power back. So, like I say, I've got 5 spaces left. If you want to find out any more information about that, you can find out in the link below. Right, so when it comes to avoidance, they look very much like they're just fine. They just get over you. They get off the hook, and you're left wondering if you meant anything. Remember that avoidants really struggle with vulnerability, right? So they struggle to be authentically messy, authentically confused, authentically not knowing what's going to happen, authentically imperfect, right? We're all imperfect, we're all human. But avoidants are very good at the beginning of relationships, of kind of putting on this show this mask that makes them feel good in themselves. They feel confident wearing that mask. They feel like, I can be who I want to be. I can be vulnerable. I can be open. I can be this, knowing that there's no long-term commitment at that point. It's always 3 months, 3 to 6 months where they start dropping the mask and things start looking like, oh, what was that? Why did they do that? Why didn't they text back? They usually text. What's going on there? The facade starts to crack, okay, after a period of time, and then it forces the other person into wondering, what do I do now? Which puts the avoidant in this position of, I'm good now because they're carrying this for me. They're carrying this for me, and I don't have to do anything now because they're ringing me, they're texting me, they're organizing things for me, right? And they feel like they've got the validation they need, so they don't need to sort of act in the way that they did at the beginning, which feels really confusing for you because you're like, what's happened here? What's going on? But they have struggled and not been able to get authentically close to you because of that. And because of that, it's incomplete. And therefore, when they suddenly shut down, when they start to feel engulfed and overwhelmed, when it feels to them like you're wanting more from them or you're wanting something that they don't know if they can give, they shut down. And therefore, they think to themselves often, I've heard them say, I don't really know what happened with me. I don't know. I don't really get it, but I just felt different. But I don't know why I did that. The other thing I've noticed later in life with avoidance is the one that got away, the story of the one that got away was always someone really loving, really amazing for them, really authentic with them, really honest, really willing for a relationship, really willing to do the work, trying really hard to make it work. And they always look back at that person and think, that person was really good for me. I don't know why I sabotaged that. The amount of people that I spoke to in their 50s and 60s, sadly, where they think, that one, I messed it up, right? And the thing that you have to do is not try harder with them. You do not need to try harder. You've done enough. You've been honest enough. If you chase them more, it's going to make them pull away more right now. And what you need to do is absolutely shift the focus back on you, because avoidance only really change when they have a consequence, when they actually experience loss, when they're left with themselves, when they are forced to look in the mirror and go, I'm actually quite lonely here being this way. Why does this always happen to me? Why do I always end up in situations like this? The common denominator is them, and that's why they have all this unfinished business everywhere, you know and that can feel really vulnerable for you as well, because that when you meet them, you hear about their past, that they've had these kind of weird unfinished endings, or endings where someone whatever story they tell you about their exes or whatever, and it feels something is off about that because they couldn't complete it within in themselves, and so they tell themselves a story about it that makes sense to them for their ego, but doesn't make sense to the other person or the rest of the world a lot of times. So remember, if they can't complete something with you, if they didn't explain it to you, if they just suddenly ghosted you or whatever, they can't complete it within themselves. You will be a hanging thread in their minds that they cannot understand. They can't understand what happened there, right? And that makes it very likely a lot of the time that they'll try to reach out again in the future. I don't know when, I can't guarantee it, but I've seen that happen many, many times when I've talked to avoidance. Avoidance sometimes say to me, do you think I should apologize? Do you think I should say something to them? Like months down the line, this is usually not straight away, because usually they feel better, but the process is like, oh, I feel so much better. Oh, that was the right thing to do. And yeah, maybe I'll meet someone else. Maybe I've met someone else. And then they crash because they start meeting themselves again, and it goes down and down and down. And then they start thinking, why did I do that? Should I do something about it? What should I say? Maybe I could reach out to them again because I'm less scared now, because maybe they've moved on. And it goes around like that. It's a cycle for them. It's absolutely cyclical for them. So that's what happens. And the thing is that you have to take control of your side of the street, which is there's something going on with them, yes, but there's also something going on with you because you didn't spot the red flags soon enough when you could have, or you did, but you ignored them. That's self-abandonment. and you know there was red flags that you ignored. I hear this 100% of the time with people. There was something off and you ignored it. That's how self-abandonment slowly starts to happen. The little flickering light that you thought, okay, yeah, I better fix that at some point, that you ignored, suddenly turns off, right? And you think, oh, it's broken and I should have paid attention to those warning signs. I should have spoken up. I should have said my truth. I should have been honest. You know what's really interesting about anxious and avoidance is they very much mirror each other, because you're both self-abandoning in one way or the other. The avoidant struggles to be authentic and vulnerable, and the anxious person also struggles to be authentic and vulnerable. Even if it feels like you are being really authentic and vulnerable, actually the authentic self knows what is right and wrong, knows how to set boundaries, knows what their limits and non-negotiables are, and can express them clearly as and when is needed, right? And instead what we tend to do is not do that, to hope things go away, to hope the status quo is resolved if this other person behaves differently. And that is where you can take your power back, honestly. So there's a few things that you can do right now. The first thing, honestly, is throwing yourself into yourself, throwing yourself into your life, into fun, into enjoyment, into anything but trying to figure this person out, right? And actually doing something different with your mind and with your creativity and with your sense of self that brings you back to you, because that's going to start to really give you distance and space to see things clearly and remember who you are again, feel good with the people around you, and therefore know how to express yourself with this person when and if they come back, right? And then the other thing is being able to embody a life and changes in your life that might gradually start to bring you back your confidence that you lost through chasing this other person. The other thing is not reaching out to them right now, because if you do reach out to them when they're in this state, it will push them away more and it will overwhelm them, and the dynamic just continues and they don't learn anything. They do need a consequence. We all need consequences to our actions at times, and they are absolutely no different, and they need it maybe harder than other people. So the most loving thing that you can do sometimes is just let them lose you. Let them feel the loss of you. Let them suffer the consequence of losing someone who loved them, cared for them, wanted it to work, did anything to make it work, went to therapy, took responsibility. That is a massive loss, right? So you have to be confident in that, in knowing that they can't really get over you because they never completed it with you. And that is one of the biggest signs that they will come back, especially if it was sudden. There's a difference between somebody who's temporarily emotionally available and someone who's avoidant. Okay. Someone who's temporarily emotionally available might have very valid reasons for being emotionally unavailable that they might have told you. That's not avoidance. That's being temporarily emotionally unavailable. But someone who's avoidant has this consistent pattern of doing this in their life that they have struggled with. And there is a difference. So you might be able to notice what feels most true for this person and for you at the moment. But all you can do right now is focus on your side of the street and get your power back. Feel really good about you. Feel really good about your connection that you had. Feel really good about the love that you gave to them. Feel really good about the experience that you gave them of you, because actually you showing up as a loving, willing, committed partner was something that was very, very rare and precious, right? And they lost that. Let them figure that out. Let them go and do their thing. Let them go and, deactivate. Let them go and rationalize things in whatever way they want, tell themselves a story. But life has a way of showing people who they are. Okay? So trust life. And if you want any more information about what I do, I've got my one-to-one options are open again because I've got some space on my calendar, so you can book those on my website. Also got my self-abandonment trap, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be for anybody who really wants to commit some time to you in a guided, structured way that will actually help you through this difficult time of longing and missing someone and just wanting to feel more in control again. Honestly, it's going to be amazing for your confidence, your sense of self, and just your understanding of what happened in the relationship. And it's going to help you in relationships going forward, which is the main thing, breaking the pattern for good. So any more information about those things you can find out in the links below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.